Welcome back to the program. Now, when it comes to e-commerce and financial tech on the continent, Nigeria, by pretty much any measure you can think of, is ahead of the pack. Last year, what's now known as the Jumia Group raised over $300 million in funding, getting a $1 billion valuation in the process, effectively making it, if you will, in the parlance, a unicorn. Tencent and other firms invested $1.3 million last December. The payments processing firm Paystack earlier this year, Cars45 raised $5 million in funding. Clearly, on cash alone, there's a lot more equity flowing into West Africa than into the Silicon Savannah here in the East. Ahead of the WCA Summit in October, I spoke to the CEO of Cars45 to find out what makes Nigeria's e-commerce sector tick.
Our market is growing quite quickly. We have very aggressive expansion plans. And we know very well that we require quite a huge amount of capital to basically be able to meet up with the current demand that we're seeing in the business.
How much do you need, at least in the short term? How much capital are you looking to raise, and what form do you want it in? Do you want it as debt? Do you want it as convertible debt? Do you want it as equity?
In terms of a direct sum, it's difficult for me to place that number now. To put that number out there, but I'd say, I mean, just like every business, you're constantly, I think, especially from my perspective, being the CEO of the company, be the co-founder in the company, I think the most important thing for us is to remain as strongly capitalized as possible. And I'm personally constantly on the watch for finding the right kind of partnerships. I think the opportunities are so large in what we're trying to do that there definitely is. There's really no limit in terms of what we're trying to do. But I think, of course, the kind of funding that, if I was going to just give an estimate, we hope that we can, within the next 12 months, close anything between 10 to 20 million.
Your business model is particularly interesting, though, because when I was reading about it, one of the things that you're trying to tackle here is that lack of trust in what you see online and this person on the other end of the website, as it were, in terms of selling their car into the market. How have you managed to convince consumers in Nigeria that buying a car online is safe, straightforward, easy and convenient?
For us, the first stage of what we're trying to do is basically help people, from the front end, sell their cars. Now, what we've been able to do is in the last 12 months, we've built over 30 inspection locations. Now, what this does is that it takes people from a perspective where back in the day, you're relying on a lot of third parties, a lot of middlemen being able to give you promises. What we stand as is an independent body who basically conducts vehicle inspections. And by doing these vehicle inspections, we're able to, one, verify in our centers, we're able to verify the ownership, verify the condition of the car, and provide this transparent information that they can rely on. And we've also made it easier for people to access any of our locations, because one of the key factors that we have is basically ensuring that we have a very good geographical spread across the country. So we're currently in the 3 main cities in Nigeria, the first 3 main cities in Nigeria, in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. And we've launched over 30 locations across this, and we continue to expand. Our goal is basically to launch about 4 locations every month.
Right. Would it be fair for me to make a comparison between Cars45
yes,
and say perhaps you're the Nigerian equivalent of Kelly's Blue Book in the United States?
Kelly's Blue Book particularly is a pricing model. So I'd say Cars45 is has a Kelly's Blue Book component of it, but it's also much more than just Kelly's Blue Book, because in Nigeria there hasn't been historically any kind of standardized pricing format for used cars. Now, what we've done is we've basically earmarked over 3,000 vehicle makes and models, up from 1983 up until 2017, and we basically have all these models from like I mentioned, from 1983. We have pretty much what you call the average buying and selling price. So in that sense, one aspect of our business was basically creating a pricing and valuation algorithm, which basically is updated real time based on sort of the transactions that are happening on our platform.